I think if I had to say anything, just trust the timing and the unfolding, of your life. And you really are where you are for a reason. And everything does kind of happen for a reason. And it might, rejection might be really hard in the moment, but it really is redirection. And, just know that everything is going to happen. And I feel like you have to believe that you're in the right place at the right time every time, and that
Every
really
time.
is the difference, as I was looking for an opportunity. So, and I found it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to my show. My name is Tiffany, and this is Unveiling Journeys. I have an amazing guest for you today. But first, before we get started, let me just tell you a brief second about myself. I love hanging out with people. I love meeting new people. I love hearing their stories. That's kind of why the show was born, because I could not contain how cool they are, and then I wanted to share everything that they're up to. But let me show you what it looks like. I meet somebody, I'm like, hey, let's hang out. Here's our calendar link. Let's schedule some time. And then at the end of it, I'm like, wow, you are so cool. How can I get to know more people just like you? Or wow, you are so cool. Who do you know that I need to know? Or opposite, it's usually like, oh my gosh, I know people you need to know. Let's share people. And that's okay for you to ask. If you're too nervous, you got to practice until you get there. And what ends up happening is you get invited to fun parties where you meet ridiculously cool people, like how I met Erica, my guest that's going to be on today, through, of course, Jake Title, who throws phenomenal parties. And I'm so excited to share what she's working on because I've never heard of it before. And so I want to introduce her. So everybody, welcome Erica. Erica, thank you so much for coming on. Tell everybody a little bit about what you're up to right now.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So, we met at that really fun plane party, and I shared with you that I'm building a pet blood bank. So, usually the first
Pet.
reaction is, what is that? And I tell people it's the American Red Cross version for cats and dogs. And so that's kind of how I paint it. But yeah, just like humans, cats and dogs also need blood, and there's a national shortage when it comes to these pet blood products. And it was just one of those things where once I went down the rabbit hole, I couldn't look away. And we could definitely get into why that happened later. But yeah, for now, that's what I'm working on.
I love this so much. And the science side of me is like, okay, we have how many blood types as a human? How many blood types are there as a dog? And you went into such great detail because you've done so much
Yeah.
homework and so much research and you know so much about it that you had every answer ready to go. And I was amazed at how cool this is because I didn't realize that this could stand between the saving your pet's life, who is like your child practically when you've
Yeah.
had them for so long and you would do anything for them, and the almost black market that's now there because of a shortage of the blood. So like to have a pet blood bank really makes so much sense. And I love that you're doing this so much. But um let's do this. I want to share your whole story. Let's start with like, where are you from and what did you want to be growing up? Like, what did it feel like? I guess your what'd you go to school for and your first job, that we'll tell this whole circle of how you got to where you're at now. But start from the beginning.
Okay, from the beginning, I guess my origin story started as a little girl. I had a big heart for animals. What little girl growing up doesn't want to be a veterinarian? And so that was my initial dream, just because I had that love for animals and our pets growing up. I'm from a small town in Florida, like a little beach touristy town. So I'm really lucky to have grown up by the beach. And there we had a Spanish restaurant. So we had a family business, and that's kind of where the business entrepreneurial side, I got that taste of that growing up. And then my mom worked a corporate job in the legal field. So I kind of got, both sides, and, got to really choose, which one of my skills aligns to which side. But growing up, I just, with that heart for animals, I was also that kid that was selling lemonade, to the golfing community that we had. So I literally found this spot where golfers would like cross, and they would have a little stop sign, and I posted up with my brownies and Gatorade on a Saturday morning and like just started selling lemonade or Gatorade and brownies to them. And so that was kind of like my heart. I was just a little hustler as a kid, and love that. And so I feel like now that I'm looking back on my journey, that's kind of where it started, where I, did the market research and I raised my prices because 50 cents was not enough, and I was tired of giving back 2 quarters. And so I raised it to 75 cents, and they let me keep the dollars. It was like perfect. I was a little baller at like 10 years old with my $80 in my pocket. So I was really proud of that. And growing up,
That
I
is
also
so
played
cool. I love hearing
soccer.
this so much because I have
Yeah,
an 8-year-old that picked lemons off our tree and made a thing and
really.
was talking to the guy mowing the neighbor's yard. I was like, don't bother them. And she was like, Mom, how else am I going to make money? I'm like, you're right. Keep going.
Yeah,
Keep going. I'll help you squeeze those lemons.
let them. Yeah.
I love hearing your story about you being able to do like the Gatorade in the intersection of where the golfers were. Where did this go to next? Like, did you actually go to school to become a veterinarian?
No, so I actually realized about my senior year in high school, I looked around and I was like, I didn't grow up on a farm, I didn't grow up shadowing vets. And I came to terms with the fact that I probably wouldn't do well as a veterinarian having to handle all those sick and dying animals. And so I was like, I love like healthy, happy animals, like the idea of an animal suffering just like really breaks my heart. And so my senior year, I actually ended up taking an intro to engineering course offered through my high school. And it was a dual enrollment through Embry-Riddle, which was really cool. And from there, I met my teacher, who was later going to be my mentor, like all through my engineering program. But we went through all the different types of engineering. And once we got to material science and engineering, I just really lit up because I had this question ever since I was a kid. I wanted to know what everything was made out of. And so I would just look around at, everything in life and just think like, obviously it's made out of atoms and electrons and, protons. You don't know that as a kid, but I just didn't understand why certain things behave differently if it was all technically made of the same thing. And then once we got to material science and engineering, I was like, wow, there's this field of study that explains what everything is made out of, and I get to, study that if I want to. So I just kind of fell in love because that was just another like passion and curiosity of mine, and another question I just wanted to answer, lifelong. And so I ended up going into engineering school. So I transferred into the University of Florida's engineering program after I did my prereqs locally at a state college, and just really fell in love with the field. So, everything that we look around is made out of different materials. So you have like metals and polymers, ceramics, semiconductors, that kind of thing. And I really liked the ceramics, and then none of like the professors at the time like wanted to teach ceramics. Nobody had an interest in it, and that was what my mentor did. So she went into aerospace and she was designing jet engines. So I thought I was going to go down the same path, and didn't wasn't able to get that specialty, that certificate in ceramics. And so I chose the next best thing, and that was semiconductors. And then there are ceramics, inside of semiconductors, and I was really fascinated by electricity and just electrons and how all that works. So I was really excited to learn, about the electronics and how we take sand and we basically make it do math, like just,
Yeah,
the
that's
sandwich.
amazing.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So I love that as well. And so I ended up getting my certificate in semiconductor materials. And then right out of college, I got a reliability engineering job at a tech company. And so that was my first job right out of college. It was my dream job, which was great. But it kind of was beyond what I even knew, was going to be possible. And so I really got this experience of seeing everything from a very big perspective and seeing how the details, of what I'm working on really
Huh.
affect, the product itself. So I worked at Apple as a reliability engineer on the iPads. And so seeing that supply chain and just being responsible for those little tiny parts, I, used to cry over capacitors. So that's what I would tell people.
Awesome.
They're like these little tiny things. And,
Yeah.
we were so worried about them breaking, but they're such an important part of the product itself. And so seeing that really gave me that perspective and understanding risk and how do we catch those issues early, and then how do we design against it so it doesn't happen, in the customer's hands kind of thing. So Apple really shaped, my mentality and how I see things, and I'm really grateful for that experience. And I feel like I take that and I apply that to what I'm doing now and what I'm building.
Oh, that's cool. What did that look like for when you transitioned to like when you left Apple? What was that like?
It was it was really challenging actually because I felt like it was something where I had the experience for it, but it was kind of a bit of a learning curve with that being your first job. Right out of college, you don't really know what corporate America expects of you yet. And so that was, a little bit of a learning curve, and then just being thrown into the deep end. Apple really encourages you to just find like your way to do things. Like there's not
Wow.
one right way to do things. And I feel like that was also really prominent in my other internships that I had leading up to it. I feel so I did a, just a little caveat just to give some context. I did a research internship. My first research internship was at Harvard through like a summer program. And then the project I was working on was very much the Wild West. Nobody else was working on it. So I had to be very comfortable with uncertainty and, being the only one working on this problem or going down this path from a very young age. And that really shaped me. And then coming to Intel when I did my second internship, seeing some of the things I was working on at Harvard, but at scale at Intel. I used to have to wire bond these little like pieces. It's literally gold wire, and like you have to
Yeah.
like melt it and like connect it. So like the device that I was testing, I had to do that. And then I get to Intel and I see this machine that does it perfectly. And it was like, are you kidding me? Like I spent a whole summer crying
Right?
over this little thing that would not connect. So it definitely gave me that perspective of, having the academia first and innovating on a small scale and then taking that and leveraging that, at Intel at scale, to serve,
Yeah.
giant needs. And then, Apple kind of was all those pieces coming together. And so I felt like once Apple ended, I had that perspective and I had the, Apple way, that mindset. But I was like, I really want to work on something that merges, all the things that I have in my heart and like my skills. And a piece of advice that I really loved at Intel, that I got from a lady that worked on patents, she was so great. She was saying how whenever you want to move forward in your career, like find two things that you are good at and be at the interface of them. And she said the more, unique of an interface that you're connecting and you're making, the better, because now you've essentially created your own industry and you've created, a field where like you're the expert, like you're the one
Yeah.
that fits that mold. And so that always just really stuck with me. And I was always kind of looking for how can I, like, what is my other interface? Like, what is the other thing that I can put together and make happen in a way that isn't currently happening? And I feel like that's where the pet blood bank kind of brought that, the love for the animals and also the
Yeah.
engineering perspective. I tell people this is a supply chain issue. I'm not curing cancer, And so it's really cool to see all my skills kind of come together in this one way
Wow.
and really be used in a way that I wouldn't be able to use in just like one role.
Hmm. Now, was that just like you left Apple to go start this
Yeah,
venture?
pretty much. So it happened, my contract ended, and then it was right before all the tech layoffs. And then, I only had a bachelor's degree at the time. So, and it was kind of a PhD kind of role that, I was in anyway. And then I didn't have the years of experience, that people want, for these kind of roles. So it was really hard. I spent 2.5 years or something applying. I never got a job offer. Like I was a professional interviewer at that point. But I'm really grateful for that because if I had gotten a job, I probably would have taken it for sure, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be
Yeah.
doing what I'm doing now, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So it was a hard
Wow.
2.5 years, but I know that this was the path that's meant for me, and had there been another opportunity, I probably would have taken it, and I wouldn't be where I am now. So yeah.
That's incredible. I imagine with, like you said, being a professional interviewer at that point, like the tenacity, the stick to itness is like super strong with you, especially like you said, paving the way, doing something that nobody else was doing, kind of solo and being so young at
Yeah.
it. That's such a fun like starter story because we have so much room to grow with what you're
Yeah.
working on. Now, was there like a pivotal moment where you're like, what? I didn't know about the shortage. I didn't know and I care so much about pets
Mhm.
that made you realize I could make a change and I'm going to start a company to do this.
Yeah. So I do have a few friends in the veterinary field, and that was something where I don't even, I really can't pinpoint a specific moment, but it was something I became aware of and then started realizing like, oh, you would think that this exists for animals, the way that it exists for humans. And then started going down the rabbit hole and seeing that California was actually kind of behind the eight ball, where every state had a community-based pet blood bank except California. And I was like, what do you mean? Like this feels
Yeah.
crazy,
There's so many people, so
Yeah.
many pets.
And California is usually at the forefront of everything. So the fact that, I found like the one thing that they weren't, already ahead of or innovating in that way, that really blew my mind. And then the more I just learned about it, it just kept tugging at my heart. It was something I couldn't look away. And I was really intentional about how I approached it. I wanted it to be slow, and because I wanted to know, like, as soon as I commit fully, like, I'm in this, like, I'm not going to give up. Like this is it for me. So, I took the time to really learn, and it was a slow build, initially, but now that we're fully in it, I'm dedicated and committed, and I've seen, opportunities and doors open for me that I could have never imagined, and I'm so grateful for that. But it's just more confirmation that, like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I know a lot of, well, I know personally some of the work that you've put into it because we had long conversation about it,
Yeah.
which I was so fascinated about, like the science behind it. One of the things that blew my mind was not only this like a super high demand thing and the fact that California is behind in it, but you were telling me that there's so many caveats to it. Like there's even an expiration of
Hmm.
like how long you can store this. So we need to
Yeah.
have patients and we need to have donors and we need to like match them all up. Like it's a
Yeah.
massive puzzle that you're
Hmm.
putting together
Yeah.
to make all of this work in this infrastructure. But let me just ask you, this is a lot of hard work. Why do you keep going? Like you just keep showing up.
I do. I feel like on different days I'm motivated by different things. I do have a vet quiz and a donor, quiz to see if your pet is eligible and just to kind of get a feel for what the vets need. So on some days, I'll get an email from vet hospitals asking, can we buy blood from you right now? And we're not fully set up yet. And so that breaks my heart. And then talking to vets as well to understand their problems and how we can innovate and help them. They're seeing, back orders of 2 to 3 months and
Wow.
bags of blood going for, 2 to 300% what they should. And so I think there's just like this deep, like hurt in my heart to think about. And the vets can't control the price of blood. And if somebody, comes in with their dog and they need a transfusion and they can't afford it and they don't have pet insurance, a vet told me that a lot of owners will euthanize upon estimation. And that I just broke down and cried after that phone call,
Yeah.
because I can't even imagine bringing your pet
Mm-mm.
in for something as doable as a transfusion, and that being ultimately what ends their life. Like, it breaks my heart. So I feel like I'm one of the people that, like, you're either motivated to fight for something or like fight against. I think I'm more motivated by that, like, fight against aspect. And I see the fight, forward, and it's a long path and it took a while to get here, but I'm just really, motivated by making a difference. And it's going to be a measurable change that we can make as well, just because the CDFA, California has regulation around community-based and closed colony blood banks. But yeah, I'm really excited to be down this path and to make a real difference and not only help veterinarians, but help owners as well. That we love our dogs. There's
Yeah.
there's more dogs in San Francisco than kids at this point. And it's just they are part of the family, and you might have some sort of dollar amount in your mind, but when that time comes, you're going to do whatever it takes, to save your baby. So I
Yeah,
really
100%.
have that heart for animals and just want to make a difference. And, seeing the difference that I can make, and, going down this path and it actually, kind of working out already, and things happening, I just realized that, we have an impact and we can make a difference if we really try to. And I just want to see, how big of a difference I can make.
I love this. Now, some people at this point are thinking, I want to lean in, I want to support, I want to see where you're going, what's next. Like, what's your favorite way for people to find you, like your website and so forth, but also like, what do you need right now in as far as support?
Sure. So our website is animalbloodcenter.org. So I am really proud of that, at least, in the initial stages, because I built that out. But yeah, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, Erica Lopez, Erica with a C. And I have a GoFundMe up. I haven't really tried to, like, really campaign for it yet. It's out there for now. But in terms of support, right now we are in the process of registering our products with the CDFA, so the California Department of Food and Agriculture. And then we'll have like a soft launch, and then, have some dogs come in. It'll be a fun little donor drive. And then we'll do a second event with that as well. So I'm looking for funding. I'm really trying to find the right investors that understand the vision and see the impact and the mission and the scalability of it. So that's been,
Hmm.
the path that we're on right now. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this funded and, off the ground in a way that we can do so much more than, just trying to start from a bootstrapped perspective. So I think we're
Right?
we're in the right ecosystem, we're in the right state, the right place. So all the
Yeah.
pieces are coming together, but yeah, those are the best ways. For sure. Yeah, we want to start here in the Bay Area and then expand down into LA and then from there. Yeah.
I know you have this big dream and what you're working on right now, but what else is on the horizon that you're working on that we need to look out for?
I would say this is it, this is really, my bread and butter and, passion project. I feel like this is something that I'm really proud to be pouring into. I do have a couple of hobbies, but for the most part, the blinders are on and this is really my main thing and, what I want to be focused on.
Oh, this is amazing. And anybody that's watching this right now that's like, "Oh, I have a friend that I can help promote you. I can put you on another show or a podcast and spread the word for this budding business of what she's like in a full launch for." I want you guys to reach out to Erica so that way you can follow her on LinkedIn, see all the stuff she's posting, and then see any other ways you can support and go to her website. This has been so cool. I'm so appreciative of your time. Tell me, like, what should we end with? Like, what are your favorite like things, mantras, move forward, like your way of life, like your golden nuggets that we want to leave with everyone?
I don't know. I love to tell people, like, just tell your friends that your pet can donate blood. Most people aren't even aware of it, until I'm sharing it with them. But yeah, I think if I had to say anything, just trust the timing and the unfolding, of your life. And you really are where you are for a reason. And everything does kind of happen for a reason. And it might, rejection might be really hard in the moment, but it really is redirection. And, just know that everything is going to happen. And I feel like you have to believe that you're in the right place at the right time every time, and that
Every
really
time.
is the difference, as I was looking for an opportunity. So, and I found it.
Oh, I love that. That's incredible. Tell me who, if somebody's listening right now and they're like, "Oh wait, can my pet donate?" Like who is the easiest that if like the breeds or like the size or what is that? What is the easiest for someone to say, "Oh, that's me. I want to go right now
Sure.
and do more homework on it."
So big dogs is our target, dog donor profile. So any dog from age 1 to 8, they have to be about 50 pounds. The universal blood type is in greyhounds and German shepherds too, I believe. So any sort of big dog that's like very docile and well trained and can lay down for a few minutes at a time. This is something that's very painless that the dogs really don't notice, and they can save more lives than so a dog can save up to 4 lives for one
Wow.
donation, and humans can only save three. So I love telling people that. But yeah, if you have a big dog, over 50 pounds, we love greyhounds, like just well-behaved dogs. Golden doodles also do well. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. This is so cool. Thank you so much. I love hearing your story. And I totally forgot about the camaraderie because like I went to Embry-Riddle and being able to be like the nerdy engineer talking
Love
to
that.
another awesome
I
woman
remember
that's like
that.
loving all the sciences because
Yeah.
what happened as a kid, I took all the things apart that I could if I could get a screwdriver to it. So
No,
that's just
literally.
how we roll, right?
I like my toothbrush broke the other day and I slammed it on the ground and it like popped open and I was like, wow, look at this. Like the capacitors and resistors, and it was just so fun to like look at. And sure enough, I was like, it's probably a capacitor, and it was. So it was just so funny. Like little throwback to
Those
my,
things we cried over, right?
yeah, failing capacitor days. But yeah, we totally get it.
Oh my gosh, this has been so awesome. Thank you again, Erica, for your time. And thank you, everybody who's listening right now. I thank you for your time to come and listen to all my amazing guests that I have. Please reach out, please follow, please repost and whatnot. So that
Yeah.
way we can get the word out because I had no idea this existed. And now you know too. And I look forward to seeing you guys on one of the next episodes. Thank you for watching. Everybody
Yeah.
go have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.